This video today is for you guys who feel unhappy in your job, but you can't exactly tell why. So at the end of this video, you'll be able to pinpoint exactly what bothers you in your current job, what makes you unhappy, so that you'll be able to either A, change something about the job that you're in now, if it's possible, or B, change something about yourself or the way you see your job, or perhaps even 3, decide to leave your job, move on, go on to the next job that possibly makes you happier. So let's get right into the 6 things that influence job satisfaction or happiness at work. Some of these are research-based, while others are based on my own experience and observations. Job satisfaction, simply defined, are the positive emotional reactions and attitudes that an individual feels toward their job. And while I go through this list, please let me know in the comments below which of these factors specifically bother you. The first thing is work factors, and these include all the things that relate directly to a particular job, such as task variety, whether you have good colleagues or not, working conditions, the workload or how heavy you perceive the workload to be, autonomy at work, and also educational opportunities. And according to research, these work factors make up around 54% of our job satisfaction. The second factor that influences job satisfaction are individual factors, and this includes things such as personality traits, age, and also gender. And based on research, this makes up for around 45% of our job satisfaction or happiness at work. Interestingly, according to a study, there are certain personality traits that predispose you to be more content at work. In other words, people with certain personalities tend to experience higher job satisfaction. And in general, people who score lower on the trait neuroticism but higher on conscientiousness, extraversion, and agreeableness tend to be easier content at work. This is really eye-opening. The fact that 45% of what makes us happy at work actually stems from ourselves. That there are certain people who just find it easier to be happy no matter the circumstances. And I'm pretty sure that you know people like this. People in your family or your friends. There are those kinds of people who, no matter what happens in life, whatever situation they find themselves in, tend to be happier than other people. And then again, there are those people who always have something to complain about. There is always something that is not right about the situation, about the job, about everything in life, and they just tend to feel unhappy easier. These 2 factors, work factors and individual factors, make up the bulk of what influences our job satisfaction, at least based on research. But then there are a few other factors that are perhaps less easy to quantify but are still very important to look at. The third one is life satisfaction in general, that there is an interdependence, a feedback loop between what goes on in our personal life and in our working life. If there is something that is going really bad in our personal life, then it is likely to affect our working life as well. Everyone who's ever experienced serious problems in their family, problem with their kids, marital issues, or someone getting seriously ill, can really imagine that that can take a toll on the working life. But the effect can also be positive. If there is something positive that is about to happen in your personal life, for example, there is an upcoming wedding or an upcoming birth or anything else happy about to happen, then that is likely to have a positive influence on your job satisfaction, at least in the first few months, after which it gradually fades. If right now you're feeling really unhappy in your job, ask yourself the question whether the problem really lies in something that has to do with the job directly, which is the work factors, or could it possibly be that right now you are not feeling happy in your personal life with the way that your life is going in general. Perhaps you're having problems in your family with some relationships, and that spills over into the way that you feel about your job. The fourth factor is job match, or also known as congruence. And the idea here is that for every person, for each personality type, there is a matching job. There are many methods and tests that promise you to identify which job is best matched to your personality. And this idea is really popular, perhaps because it is so simple and it is also so much fun. I mean, I personally love these personality tests where you just fill out a questionnaire, you fill out multiple choice, and in the end you get a result that tells you this and this and this job is best suited to you. It gives you the kind of certainty, the kind of assurance that there is actually a certain range of jobs out there that is perfectly suited to you, and it solves all your problems. But interestingly, according to research, this job match or congruence doesn't influence job satisfaction as much. And I think that the reason for that is because there are so many assumptions that flow into these personality tests, and also assumptions about what a certain job encompasses. Different people might interpret the questions in a personality questionnaire differently, and they may also be biased when they fill out the test. And the other thing is that it is really difficult to compare between different jobs. We're not always comparing apple to apple. Let's say that based on Holland's model, it says that you are best suited among others to become a commercial airline pilot. But the thing is that being a pilot at airline company A versus airline company B can be very different. Although the job title or job description might seem very similar, but in reality the working conditions will be slightly different. The salary and compensation package will be different. You will have different colleagues and a different boss. So it's not really possible to compare apple to apple. So here I just want to say that personally, I think that personality questionnaires can be useful when identifying an ideal job match. But still, I think that you should interpret it with caution, because there is only so much information that can go into a personality questionnaire or a job matching method. So at this point, you might be wondering, what about salary and benefits, compensation package? Why haven't we talked about this? You might have heard about a study conducted by Princeton University that researched the link between wealth and happiness. This study concluded that income or an increase in income or salary can only increase happiness up to a certain point, which at that time of research was $75,000 per year. So this means that if your salary was $30,000, $40,000, anything below $75,000, you could experience an increase in happiness if you get a salary increase up to $75,000 per year. But beyond that, if you go further up, any increase in salary will only make you marginally happy. This also explains why you see people who earn $200,000, $300,000 a year and are still very unhappy in their jobs. These two last factors that I want to talk about are highly subjective, but I do think that for certain people, this really has a strong influence on their job satisfaction and happiness. The fifth factor is expectations. I think that whether or not a person feels positive emotions towards their job or not also strongly depends on their expectations, what they expect the job to be. We could also call this expectation versus reality. If someone starts the job thinking or expecting that this is going to be their dream job, that this is going to be so good for their career, they're going to have so much fun and so many great and friendly colleagues, but then when they start the job, it turns out that that is not the case at all, and that their colleagues really suck and it doesn't do anything for their career, then their satisfaction might drop very quickly. On the other hand, when someone starts a job and has no expectations whatsoever, but then it turns out that their colleagues are awesome, it's so much fun, then it is likely that they experience more positive emotions in that job. So if you're feeling unhappy in your job, another question that you might ask yourself is, how are your expectations set at this moment? Do you think that your expectations about having a job are realistic or not? Are your expectations too high or a bit unrealistic, in which case you might have to adjust your expectations a bit? Or on the other hand, are your expectations about a job too low, and are you in general setting for less in life? The sixth factor that I think influences your job satisfaction and happiness at work is your self-image. And this has to do with how you perceive yourself, where you think you should be at this moment, what things in your job and your career you think that you should already have achieved. Let's say that you see yourself as an achiever, as a leader, and you think that a person should be able to become a manager between the ages of 25 and 30. And right now you are 38 and you are an assistant manager, let's say. So there's a contradiction between where you are and your self-image. Regardless of what statistics, friends or family say, you believe that at this point in time you should at least already have become a manager, or if not even a VP. And that is what makes you deeply unhappy, because there's a wide gap between your self-image, what you think you are supposed to be at this moment, and where you currently are. When talking about job satisfaction and happiness at work, very frequently people bring up the topic of passion. And I do believe that following your passion is something that should not be underestimated and is really important. But besides being passionate at work and having a good salary, there are at least 6 other things that will influence whether or not you're happy and satisfied with your job or not. I can really understand that it's not always very easy to pinpoint exactly what the problem is, why you are feeling unhappy at work, but I hope that at least this list could give you sort of an overview of the factors that might play a bigger role in your job satisfaction and happiness. There are 3 reasons why I think that it can be useful to understand a bit more about job satisfaction. The first one is that it helps you to build a better career. If you know exactly what makes you happy, or rather unhappy about a job, then the next time when you look for another job, it can help you to identify which kind of job would be more suitable to you. In what kind of jobs would you possibly thrive and be happier? The second reason is that job satisfaction or happiness is related to mental health, especially burnout. So if you think that you are experiencing burnout at the moment, or that you are heading towards that, then it's really a good time to start unpacking the reasons what makes you so unhappy in your current job. The third reason is that job satisfaction also affects your self-esteem. Imagine that you're in a job that you absolutely hate, but you stay put and you choose to do nothing about it. Over time, if you accept a bad situation and choose to do nothing about it, then it is likely that your regard for yourself will decrease. Please share with me in the comments whether right now you feel unhappy in your job, or perhaps you feel happy. And please also share with me which of the factors that I just mentioned now play a role in your happiness or your happiness at work. I hope this was useful to you. As always, I thank you so much for watching, especially to those of you who stuck with me to the very end. I wish you an awesome day, all the best with your career, and I hope to catch you again soon.